Azure Resource Manager. Azure Resource Manager is a management service that enables customers to deploy, manage, and monitor Azure resources. Azure Portal. Azure Portal is a web-based portal that enables customers to manage their Azure resources. Azure CLI. Azure Command Line Interface, CLI, is a command line tool that enables customers to manage Azure resources. Azure Cloud Shell. Azure Cloud Shell is a browser-based command line interface that enables customers to manage Azure resources. Uses Bash and PowerShell. PowerShell. PowerShell is a task automation and configuration management framework from Microsoft, consisting of a command line shell and associated scripting language built on the .NET framework. Bash. Bash is a Unix shell, which is a command line interface for interacting with an operating system. AZ-Copy. AZ-Copy is a command line utility that enables customers to copy data to and from Azure storage. Data Migration Assistant. Azure Data Migration Assistant is a tool that enables customers to assess and migrate their on-premises SQL Server databases to Azure SQL Database. Azure Diagnostics. Azure Diagnostics is a service that enables customers to collect diagnostic data from Azure resources and applications. Azure Government. Azure Government is a cloud platform that is dedicated to government customers and organizations, and is operated by screened U.S. citizens. Azure Region. An Azure region is a physical location around the world where Microsoft has data centers to provide Azure services. Azure Regions. Azure regions are the physical locations where Azure services are hosted. Azure Data Center. An Azure data center is a physical facility that houses Azure servers and equipment. Azure Private Preview. Azure Private Preview is a stage in the Azure product development process where a limited group of customers can test and provide feedback on new features and services. Azure Public Preview. Azure Public Preview is a stage in the Azure product development process where new features and services are made available to all customers for testing and feedback. Azure Generally Available. Azure Generally Available, GA, is the stage in the Azure product development process where a feature or service is considered stable and ready for production use. Azure Locks. Azure Locks is a feature of Azure that enables customers to prevent accidental deletion or modification of resources by locking them. Azure Support Plan Tiers. Azure Support Plan Tiers are different levels of support that are available for Azure customers, each with its own set of features and benefits. Knowledge Center. Knowledge Center is a website that provides information and resources to help customers learn about and use Azure services. Compliance Manager. Compliance Manager is a service that enables customers to manage and assess their compliance with regulatory standards. Cloud Partner Portal. The Cloud Partner Portal is a portal that enables Azure partners to manage their Azure subscriptions and services. Microsoft Privacy Statement. The Microsoft Privacy Statement is a statement that describes how Microsoft collects, uses, and protects personal data. Data Protection Addendum. The Data Protection Addendum is a legal document that sets out the terms and conditions for the processing of personal data in Azure. Online Services Terms. The Online Services Terms is a legal document that sets out the terms and conditions for the use of Azure services. Private Cloud. A private cloud is a cloud infrastructure that is dedicated to a single organization and is operated solely for that organization's benefit. Active Directory. Active Directory is a Microsoft technology used to manage and store information about network resources and users. Capital Expenditure, CapEx. Capital Expenditure, CapEx, is the cost of buying assets such as property and equipment, as opposed to operating expenditure, OpEx, which is the cost of running a business, including wages, rent, and utilities. On-premises network. On-premises network refers to the network infrastructure that is located on the customer's own property, as opposed to a cloud-based infrastructure. Hybrid Cloud. A hybrid cloud is a cloud infrastructure that uses a combination of on-premises, private cloud, and third-party, public cloud services with orchestration between the two platforms. Azure AD Connect. Azure AD Connect is a tool that enables customers to connect their on-premises Active Directory to Azure Active Directory. Public Cloud. A public cloud is a cloud infrastructure that is open for public use and is owned and operated by a third-party cloud service provider. Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, is a cloud-based identity and access management service. Managed Service Identity. Managed Service Identity, MSI, is a feature that enables Azure services to authenticate to other Azure services securely and without the need for credentials. Single Sign-On, SSO, Single Sign-On, SSO, is a feature that enables customers to use one set of credentials to access multiple applications. Azure Multi-Factor Authentication. Azure Multi-Factor Authentication is a service that enables customers to add an additional layer of security to their Azure resources. Azure AD Connect Health. Azure AD Connect Health is a service that enables customers to monitor and troubleshoot their on-premises identity infrastructure. Azure AD Privileged Identity Management. Azure AD Privileged Identity Management is a service that enables customers to manage and control access to Azure resources. Azure AD Identity Protection. Azure AD Identity Protection is a service that enables customers to protect against identity-related risks by using machine learning algorithms to detect and investigate suspicious activities, and provide recommendations to mitigate them. Business-to-Consumer Identity Services. Business-to-Consumer, B2C, Identity Services is a feature that enables customers to authenticate and authorize consumer-facing applications. Operating Expenditure, OpEx. Operating Expenditure, OpEx, is the cost of running a business, including wages, rent, and utilities, as opposed to capital expenditure, CapEx, which is the cost of buying assets such as property and equipment. SaaS, Software as a Service, is a software delivery model in which software and associated data are hosted centrally, typically in the cloud, and are accessed by customers over a network, typically the Internet. Office 365. Office 365 is a subscription-based online version of Microsoft Office, which includes Office apps, email, and online storage. Microsoft Dynamics 365. Microsoft Dynamics 365 is a set of enterprise resource planning, ERP, and customer relationship management, CRM, services that enable customers to manage their business operations and customer interactions. Microsoft Managed Desktop. Microsoft Managed Desktop is a service that enables customers to outsource the management of their Windows devices to Microsoft. PaaS, Platform as a Service. PaaS is a cloud computing model that delivers a platform for customers to develop, run, and manage their applications without the complexity of building and maintaining the underlying infrastructure. API Management Service. Azure API Management is a fully managed service that enables customers to publish, secure, transform, maintain, and monitor APIs. Azure Logic Apps. Azure Logic Apps is a service that enables customers to create workflows that integrate apps and data across cloud and on-premises services.